for my part, being a grade schooler for the whole decade, my memory of that time is dominated by one girl group. No, wait, weren't there guys in that group? TLC was huge in the mid-90s, and they were my very favorite human entity when I was 9. I and all of my little buddies adored them. They were the most popular girl group in the whole world until, well, that's for a different episode. Tion T-Boz Watkins, she was usually the lead vocal. Rosanda Chili Thomas, she usually sang the bridge of the song, whatever that happened to be. And of course, everybody's favorite, Lisa Lefty Lopez, who supplied background vocals and rap verses. Most people remember the second album of theirs most vividly because it was their biggest hit. But it was their second album. And I would be remiss to forget about that first album they made when they were like 9 and had apparently stumbled upon a box of clown costumes. TLC's big thing at the start of their career was a message of safe sex. They imparted their message by safety pinning condoms all over their very colorful and very baggy clothing. Oh, I'm sorry, they weren't 9? Okay, apparently they were actually like 20. You gotta go So when I was a freshman in college and the RAs were playing up like, oh my god, safe sex, and they were giving us all these like condoms and dental dams and female condoms and cock rings that were provided by the school, we of course took them and we put them on a little stuffed mouse that I had from high school, and we named him Mr. Jingles, the safe sex mouse, because it was funny, because condoms are funny when you're a kid. Although I don't want you to get like the impression that, I have no need for condoms as a freshman in college, because, I got so much booty. Point is, we didn't take it seriously. We just thought condoms were funny. And at a time in American history where safe sex wasn't necessarily a given, it was nice of them to try to bring attention to the issue. Like, yay, safe sex is fun. But let's be real here. That's not where it goes, Left Eye. And that's what defines this album in contrast to the other two. They're just kids. They act like kids, they dress like kids, they think like kids. Hell, one of the videos takes place in a dorm room and is mostly in pajamas. So between the first album and the second album, they switched managers, which of course led to like this big, fun, epic legal battle that I'm not really going to go into here because it's not really what I'm talking about, but somewhere between point A and point B, someone said, you know what, TLC, I think it's time to grow up. And thank God. This album was the biggest of their careers, done amidst a whole slew of crap going on in the background. Left Eye was in and out of rehab the whole time, the group filed for bankruptcy as a result of bad management, T-Boz's sickle cell anemia was almost killing her, and Left Eye promised myself I would plagiarize this joke because VH1 used it like 10 years ago. Fuck it. Then Left Eye burned her boyfriend's house down. As you do. The image a lot of people had of TLC was that of a group featuring 2 normal, well-adjusted young ladies and 1 crazy bitch. But when in the middle of doing all of this stuff, it's like we all stopped at once in unison. It's like we all stopped what we were doing and we looked up. Black smoke rolling. Left Eye came from a horrible, abusive, alcoholic household, so I guess it's no wonder that she became an alcoholic herself and stayed in a relationship with an abusive football player twice her size. But while Left Eye was the one with all the personal problems, she was also the one that people remembered. She was the one with the personality, she was the one with the ego. And in my perhaps very biased memory, I was pretty badass for being the first person in my 4th grade class to learn the rap from Waterfalls. So TLC had a lot of really young fans, which I guess was all well and good for the most part. Oh yeah, hi Red Light Special. No, I find this song much sexier and definitive like the Chippendales dancers they got going on in the background. But there is one important distinction to remember between the 90s and today. AIDS and shit.
Man, everybody got AIDS and shit.
I told you not to go chasing waterfalls. I'm sorry! Well, now you got AIDS and shit. No, seriously, Waterfalls is an awesome song, but remember AIDS, like the early 90s attitude towards AIDS? In 1994, when this song came out, AIDS was almost always an immediate death sentence. Eazy-E, Howard Ashman, Freddie Mercury, Liberace, Rock Hudson, Isaac Asimov. Yeah, actually, Isaac, sci-fi writer. The atmosphere was much more panicky and unforgiving in the days before the anti-retro. Asimov. Yeah, AIDS was almost always an immediate death sentence. Eazy-E, Howard Ashman, Freddie Mercury, Liberace, Rock Hudson, Isaac Asimov. Yeah, actually, Isaac, sci-fi writer. The atmosphere was much more panicky and unforgiving in the days before the antiretroviral medications changed in the mid-90s. But from the point of view of a 9-year-old with only the vaguest understanding of this blood-borne malady, you didn't know what an STD was, how sex really works, what sharing needles meant. Then along comes this massive hit song, and everyone is obsessed with it. And you, being 9, don't understand how it's about AIDS, really, save perhaps this one line. In my 9-year-old mind, I'm like, isn't AIDS a 4-letter word? Fan mail, so named because of the support they got during their Betwixt album's Troubled Times, that came out 4 years later. And what strikes me as being really different between the two albums is how their message is conveyed. I never much liked No Scrubs. That's a little too on the nose for my taste. I feel like the audience got a little dumber. Like in Crazy Sexy Cool, they kind of assumed that the listener actually knew what they were talking about. You know, actually, this song kind of describes some of the guys that I work with.
Hey, she is my world. Me? You know what? I work good and hard for my child support money, and I do not need your song to condemn me.
No Scrubs isn't a bad song, it's just not really a great song either. It's like, in writing it, TLC and their producers were very aware of who their fans were. And at the height of their popularity, TLC's fans were really... Oh, sorry, hold on, I need a disclaimer card.
Warning, the following portion of the video contains generalizations about the subject of race. And of course, all generalizations are subject to exceptions.
Okay, so yeah, TLC's fans were largely, mostly white. Not just white, like really, really young and sheltered suburban. Like the same age and demographic that the Spice Girls would have 3 years later. And as a 4th grader, what might have been the whitest public school in America that also happened to be obsessed with TLC, I should know. I was there. And I'm totally allowed to talk about this candidly. I mean, like, I have a black friend. I'm adopted. I don't think it was at all unintentional that TLC was so popular with really young middle-class kids. Right when Crazy Sexy Cool was released, guess what popular sketch show premiered on Nickelodeon? And who was the very first musical guest? But the disconnect disconnect with No Scrubs to me wasn't that they were singing about a distinctly urban problem, but that they were translating it for a young suburban audience. Literally. Like, I don't want an impoverished moocher hassling me. Is that kind of a given? No, I don't want no herpes, because I hear that it itches and I can't afford Valtrex. No Scrubs reminds me a little bit of Neo's Miss Independent, which came out like 10 years later and is also concerning an issue you probably won't hear a white suburbanite singing about. Ooh, there's something south, and all the back and do for us.